Hey there, Squirrel Army! It's time to do the Veloci RAMP Tor deck upgrade guide. As I have already discussed this face commander, I'm not really going to spend much time in talking about it again because I already did. If you want to see more of my thoughts on what this commander's about, what this deck's doing, and all that kind of stuff, there should be a little card coming up above my head, and if there's not, I'm so sorry because I'm probably very busy or whatever, or forgot or whatnot. But it is a fairly recent video, at least the time of filming and whatnot, and it is fairly easy to find. So again, it's just one of those things that sometimes happens. So you do have to give me a little bit of slack sometimes. So sorry. Alrighty, so yeah, when we're looking at the deck list, and you can find this deck list pretty much anywhere by just Google searching it up like I have and that sort of thing. So when we're looking at the list, it helps out, I find, some people, and especially new people, and especially with new cards, to figure out what kind of things I'm actually talking about in the list. You don't 100% need to. But it does help because it's just one of those things where, like, if you don't know what I'm talking about, then it's kind of like the suggestions that I make are going to be like, what card's he talking about? What does that card do? Why is he cutting it? Isn't that good? Or whatever, it doesn't work, or why doesn't it work, or whatever. But again, like, I do show and try to talk about that, but I know many people aren't as interested or that invested throughout that part, so it just makes it a whole lot easier just to say these are the cards that I would cut. If you know what they are, then it kind of helps out.
You can join the Squirrel Army by subscribing.
Alrighty, so after a bit of tinkering, I've got a list. And of course, I will say, if you guys aren't super interested in all the explanations and whatnot that I'm going to go through in just a few moments, you can check out the deck list down there in the comments below. If it's not there, I'm so sorry, but just, ask, hey, deck list, and I should put it down there pretty quickly. But anyway, for those people who do want to see what I've cut and what I've added, I will go through it as fast as what I can. And I'm not going to talk about the lands because, again, just cut the bad tap lands or whatever and that sort of thing, and just added some basics. Actually, I added Blighted Woodland as well, I think, to this one, because that's a pretty decent land, I think, for the most part. So it's not that important though. But anyway. First off, for what I cut, okay, so it's not horrible at all, obviously, but it's just one of those things, like, I would rather have things that are a little bit more synergistic to what we're kind of doing, so it's just a generically okay cut, and we are in green, so we have better options, honestly, than things like this, so just can cut it pretty easily. Same with sort of Cultivate. It's not a terrible card, but again, we can just do better and have more synergy and whatnot, so just not really what we want. Drover of the Mighty isn't too bad, but again, it just doesn't really do a whole lot. It becomes a 3/3, sure, but we can just do better than that. So yeah, we don't really need that kind of thing. Mystic Confluence or Fiery Confluence, I think the Destroy Artifact is probably one of the better modes, but since this is a sorcery, it's not that amazing. Like, it can be kind of a Wrath, and it can kind of ping our stuff to get those triggers, but again, I would rather us do that consistently more than just, like, here's a one-off set of pings or whatever. Generous Gift, actually, we've got a lot of removal in this deck already, so I just didn't think we really needed it. So yeah, I just decided to cut it. Yeah, a lot of our stuff is sorcery speed, but still, it works better with what we've got. This little lizard dude, I had to look it up because, again, some of these didn't translate into English correctly. I don't know why. But you can, like, when a creature enters, you can pay 2 mana, and I think it buffs itself or something. So yeah, it's not very interesting and doesn't really do a whole lot. And this is a fairly big cost to doing what it's doing, and doesn't really do it very well. So, yeah, it's not very interesting, and I don't think it's very good. Migration Path, it's just too much mana, and we can just do way better. Yeah, the cycling's okay, but yeah, we can just do way better. Like, even, like, Cultivate's way better, and I already cut that, so. Yeah. Return of the Wild Speaker. It's too, again, one-off. I don't really like these effects. Same with Rishkar's Expertise. Don't like these effects that just are too one-off. Like, we want to draw cards throughout the entire game, not just one-off, draw some cards. And the buff that Wild Speaker gives is okay, but, like, we need, like, evasion as well. So just giving +3 to our stuff isn't really going to cut it. We really need trample or flying or whatever as well. So that's a reason why I cut it. Savage Stomp isn't terrible, but it's sorcery speed. And again, we've got a lot of removal in this deck, so I just don't really think we really need that sort of thing. Xenagos, giving one thing haste isn't really where we want to be, and also just buffing something up when we've already got something that's pretty buff isn't like that amazing. Yes, giving something trample's alright, but we want mass haste. Like, we want to get a bunch of dinos onto the field all together, all at once, and then smash our opponents with a bunch of our dinos. So we don't really care about this too much. Like I said, I won't really talk too much about the removal in here. I don't even think I added any removal into the list here. So yeah, I just don't think there's much here to really talk about that I really added, because it was all pretty alright, I think. Like, some of it's a bit here and there, but whatever. One of the big Anthem cards that I decided to add was Goring Ceratops. Yeah, I could have added the Double Strike Lifelink enchantment, but just having it on a dinosaur as well is pretty darn decent. Plus, it's a Double Strike dinosaur, so that's all right. 3/3, which is 6/3 effectively, isn't terrible. So, and it is 6 mana, but still, or 7 mana, but still, it's pretty good to give our stuff Double Strike. We want our stuff to do more damage than what it's kind of doing. Plus, again, like, we have some stuff that deals with, like, damage triggers and stuff like that. So getting double that trigger is pretty darn good. Added Fires of Yavimaya because we want haste. We need haste. Haste is very important for a deck that has a whole bunch of big bodies. We really want those bodies to actually do something when we've cast them. We don't want to wait a turn or wait, 3 other people's turns. Anything could change in those 3 turns, so we want to get our value straight away or as quickly as what we can. I added Gwenna, Eyes of Gaia, because she adds 2 mana to our mana pool, which is pretty darn decent. And then if we cast a 5-drop or more, we untap her and we put a counter on it, but that's pretty irrelevant. It's a mana dork that we can keep using, and giving us 2 mana is pretty darn decent. So yeah, when we've got a lot of 5-drops in this deck, so I think it'll tap and untap quite a bit, so that's pretty darn useful. Herald Torn, just one of the best, like, tribal cards, like, if you're kind of running short on good tribal payoffs and that sort of thing, so it's really good for a deck like this. Added Elemental Bond because we need card draw, and we need that badly. So yeah, this draws us some cards when we pay 3 power or greater creatures or 3 power or greater creatures into our field, so that's pretty useful. We have a lot of 3 power or greater creatures. Garruk's Uprising, same sort of thing. We need card draw. We have a lot of big creatures. This gives them trample. It draws us cards, so that's really good for us. Guardian Project, again, we need that card draw, so just anything that, if you're not wanting to be if you're not so restricted on Dinosaur Tribal, you can run other things than these enchantments, but, like, if you really want to be Dinosaur Tribal, or mostly Dinosaur Tribal, you've kind of got to go with artifacts or enchantments to help you get through your deck and do this sort of thing. Tribute to the World Tree, again, it's probably going to just draw us cards most of the time. Like, it might put counters on some things, but that's fine. It doesn't really matter. It makes some of our smaller stuff a little bit more threatening sometimes, but we're really here for the card draw on it, so whenever something 3 or greater enters the battlefield, we draw a card. So that's pretty darn good. Up the Beanstalk, again, if we cast something that's mana value 5 or greater, we draw cards. So that's really good. Vanquish's Banner, we choose dinosaurs. Dinosaurs get a buff, and we draw cards for when we cast dinosaurs. So those are all really good things for us to be doing and to be getting off of the things that we kind of need our deck to be churning through to get to win conditions and whatnot. Yeah, it doesn't give us trample, but a lot of other stuff kind of does. So, and plus we'll just take the additional card draw that we kind of need. So, but anyway, that is pretty much it for the list here for today. You guys can always let me know what you guys think. Write your thoughts down there in the comments below. Hope you've enjoyed. Hope you will join me again in another one.